You want to go on the record or live or whatever whatever we're doing?
Tomorrow.
Should we start? Are we good? Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. This is the May 17th meeting of the Township of Springfield Zoning Board of Adjustment. The time is 6:07. Adequate notice has been given of this meeting in accordance with the Sunshine Law. Notice was published on September 30th, 2021 in the local source, the official newspaper for the Township of Springfield for the year 2021, and posted in the Annex Building on October 1st, 2021. Notice was also published on the Township's website. Let's stand to salute the flag, please. Okay, Mike, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Steve Hochstein. Here. Mr. Mark Cunningham. Mr. Daniel Poltrock. Mr. Steve Fursichbaum. Mr. Raj Saha. Here. Mr. Matthew Glass. Mr. Michael Weckstein.
Here.
Vice Chair Harris Laufer. Chairwoman Jody Cohen.
Here.
I have 4 members present.
Thank you. Okay, so the first order of business is resolutions for memorialization. We have one resolution on this evening, application 2022-5, 469 Mizell Avenue, Block 2001, Lot 70. Have the members of the board had an opportunity to review the resolution, and do we have any questions or comments? If there are none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Sada.
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein.
Yes.
Mr. Hochstein.
I wasn't here, so I don't think I can vote.
Correct. Ms. Cohen.
Yes. Passes. Okay, the applications, we'll move on to the application. So the first application that we're going to call this evening is a continuation from last month. This is application 2022-6, 75 Meek Street, block 2903, lot 2. This is a request for a lot coverage variance for a driveway expansion at property. If the applicant can please come up, and I see you brought a professional with you this evening? Excellent. Hi, good evening.
Just give me a second to set up.
Take your time.
Stand over here.
Yes, please. So before we, well, I guess maybe swear in the applicant.
Mr. Gutierrez, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
State your name again, spell your last name, give us your home address.
Melvin Gutierrez, last name Gutierrez, address is 75 Meek Street, Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you. And please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, give us your business address.
Sure. It's Renato Bernardes, Bernardes. My business address is 152 High Street in Perth Amboy, New Jersey.
Okay, so before we get to your testimony, and we'll walk through your credentials a bit, we had asked when we left off, I think there was a question with respect to whether or not the garage was available for parking. And have you had an opportunity to look to the garage, see if it could be cleaned out, if a car could fit, if there's, have you done that? Have you?
Even if it is cleaned out, the measurements that we took, our smallest car won't fit in there. Mr. Disco was there to take measurements too.
I came by at about 5:30 today.
Okay.
The width of the garage door opening is 8'11", which is comparable to a parking space, so the width is acceptable. The depth from the door to the rear wall is 13 feet. Their shortest car is 14 and a half feet.
Okay.
I can't tell you that the house was built with a 13-foot deep garage, but that's what the current condition is.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Is there anything that you'd like to present before your witness comes forward?
I believe you guys asked us to provide pictures of the garage. I have that. I don't know if you need it.
Okay, we can take a look at those. We'll mark them.
I'm gonna mark it A1.
I would also like to add that we're not the only ones with parking issues. We drove around the block and we observed numerous of our neighbors also that have parking issues, and they also parked their cars on the lawn, and I also took pictures of that too if you guys want to see it. So the parking issue is not just with us. It's not unique to us. It's pretty much around the neighborhood.
Okay, we'll accept that. Can you indicate on each of these where they're located in proximity to your house?
The street behind us and the street in front of us.
You need a mic, though.
Sorry, yes.
It's the streets right behind us and right in front of us, I guess you would say, yeah.
Just to be clear, the 4 pictures you've just handed me are other
Neighbors.
lots, not yours.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right. I'm going to mark this set of 4 as A2, A, B, C, and D.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now.
For the record, the 2 streets are Ruby Street and Divette Street.
Ruby and
Divot.
Divot, I'm sorry. It's a little covered up there.
Okay. Anything that you'd like to add before we turn this over to your witness?
As far as me, no.
Okay. Great. Good evening.
Hi, hello.
So can you give us a little bit of your background, your
Sure.
education?
Sure. I graduated Rutgers University with a Bachelor's of Science degree in 2006. From there, I worked for Aurora and Associates until about 2012, 2013. At 2011, I received my PE certification from the state of Delaware. In 2016, I also added it to the state of New Jersey. After Aurora and Associates, I also worked for Abington Engineering, was where a majority of my land use experience has come from. I worked for there until about 2019, when COVID basically started, and then from there, I started my own business.
And your New Jersey license is current?
Yes.
Okay. Do any member? Yeah, PE, he said. Any members of the board have any questions or objections to qualifying? And I'm sorry, your name?
My name is Renato Bernardes.
Mr. Bernardis as an expert in engineering? No.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Okay, so basically, my client wants to add 6 feet addition to his driveway. His current driveway is at 12 feet, which is comparable for an existing single lane driveway. 18 feet, according to your code, is the desired width for a 2-lane driveway.
Excuse me, just for the record, the exhibit that you have in front of you, is that the
same
plot
plan
plan that was submitted with the application
That is correct.
dated February 14, 2021?
That is correct.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Bergen, should they angle this so that the audience members could see if possible?
It was part of the record, so the public could have come to see it in advance.
You want to go on?
Yes, please.
Okay. Some of the issues with the lot is that it is undersized for its zoning. Okay, so for the zone, we should have 7,500 square feet. We're at 3,939 square feet. So it was already over on impervious coverage to begin with, at about 42%. From the 36% that's allowed, and then for this addition, we'd be raising it up to 45%, which is why the need for a variance would come in. My client needs the extra space for parking. I know he has issues parking on the street. I believe there's no overnight parking allowed on the street, and the use of his driveway right now, it's just there's not enough room for there, and that's why he's going in for the variance. As far as stormwater control and stormwater calculations were done, rational method was done for this, and it is a small enough area that that the increase in impervious coverage will increase in stormwater runoff, but it will be minimal at best.
And how many cars can he fit currently in the driveway? I know how many you indicated that you store in the driveway right now, but I'm asking your engineer, based on the dimensions of the driveway, how many standard cars would fit there?
No more than 2 or 3. The lot depth on the width, the depth of his driveway is approximately 30 feet. For most cars, an average parking spot for in comparison is 9 by 18. So it's tight.
It's 30 feet to the right-of-way. The right-of-way to the curb line is an additional 10. So you've got about 40 feet there from the house to the street.
Okay, but the smallest car was 14 feet
Yes.
in length. So there's no way you can fit more than 2 cars. So if I'm understanding what we said, it's 40 feet, smallest car is 14 in length.
That's right.
So how do you have more than 2 cars in that driveway?
We park our cars like all the way to the house, so we fit 4 cars there now.
Sorry, if you can, just to the mic, or turn that, yeah, if we could turn that one on. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
No, it's on.
If it's green, it's on.
No, there's no light.
Okay.
There was one, but then you turned it off again. But it's okay. Whatever.
It's
works.
fine.
Whatever
Sorry.
works.
So currently we fit 4 cars. So we're doing the expansion to fit the 5th car in. We fit 4 cars easily.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm understanding. How do you fit 4 cars in 40 feet in length?
You only have 40 feet from your driveway
Yeah.
entrance.
I don't
You're talking
understand.
side by side?
Yeah,
He's saying 40 feet.
2 and 2.
What's the width?
The width is 12 feet. It's a 12-foot entrance. It opens up slightly for that because there's an island in the front, but the island is only... Sorry.
18.
I think there's some confusion, and I think I know the source. If you don't mind, Madam Chair.
Please.
So, sir, Mr. Is it Bernardis? Yes, Mr. Bernardis. You testified. That's your drawing, right?
Correct.
Says that the driveway is 12 feet wide, right?
12 feet wide at the entrance, correct.
All right. Now the drawings that we got the application, again, not artful drawings by you, sir, but I thought it was 18 feet before today.
No, it would only be 18 feet with a 6-foot addition.
It says 18 feet.
Where does it say 18 feet?
Existing driveway, 18 by 40. I think that's the confusion. I mean, and it also ties into what the gentleman, my colleagues are saying about how do you fit, per your testimony last time, how do you fit 2 cars wide in the driveway if it's 12 feet wide?
So what he's saying is the entrance is actually 12 feet. I'm sorry, I don't know the measurements, but they're like 12 feet. So then there's Belgian blocks, right? And since I have a pickup truck, I just drive over it. And then there's an SUV, and I just drive over that. So it kind of opens up like a V almost.
So the 12 feet is the entrance?
The entrance.
Okay,
But
now-
the driveway is actually like 18 feet.
So the driveway widens after you go past the curb cut?
Correct.
There's
After the bench.
If there's a curb island in the front as well, if you notice. There's an island, so that's at very...
Sorry, into the mic. Sorry.
There's an island
Thank
at the
you.
very entrance of the driveway, if you notice. It's a circular. It is a grass island, actually. You see that where it says grass right next to the driveway entrance? It's like a circle. There's an island there, basically, and once you get past the island, that driveway opens up a bit more in the back.
I see, so I see that odd, it even goes past the right of the boundaries, the property's boundaries, right?
Correct.
So that's grass. I think that clarifies it.
Sorry. Is she the applicant? No, okay, so. Any board members have questions?
I have a couple of questions. I wasn't here last time, but I did watch the video and I saw your testimony. One question I have is, was the garage 14 feet when you bought the house? Did you do any work in the house?
No. The only thing we did was just install a new washer and dryer.
So that wall that's the way the garage was when you.
From my knowledge, yes. We bought it as a REO from
It
the
was a
bank.
bank-owned property.
Okay.
The record is a bank-owned
And
property.
then I have a question for your engineer. Have you explored options of some type of pervious pavement or blocks or something so that you would not be increasing the coverage as an option? If you're going to be widening the driveway, you potentially wouldn't need a variance.
No, it's still, even in existing condition, it's still over coverage, just on the basis that it's an undersized lot.
Have you considered
We-
mitigating the extra coverage by doing something that's not pervious? That's
my
not
cli-
impervious, I mean?
My client would be willing to do some kind of pervious pavement over that area, or he would also be willing to add a drywall as well to reduce runoff.
Just for Mr. Disco, is any, based on their application, would there be any water mitigation that would be recommended?
It's not required. In this case, it's a variance. It's been an issue somebody raised at the last meeting about the runoff, although they were at the street behind, so the water from the driveway wouldn't get there. They could certainly, they're offering that they could mitigate that, so they could certainly mitigate not only the increase for this, they could even go beyond to the 36% threshold.
I have more questions, but
I have, and lastly, I believe there's an ordinance about the percentage of coverage in the front of the house. Is that something that comes into play here? I thought you're not allowed to have more than 30% of coverage in front of the house, if I remember correctly. Only because I believe
It's
it
not
came up-
listed in the zoning table.
Right.
So I'll look at,
Unless it's changed, because I did have a client that we had to change some design and
residential?
residential because of that in the past. I don't know if it was a zone-specific issue.
while you're looking, Madam Chair, if I could just ask another question?
Yes.
So just from a practical standpoint, that island that's kind of off to the side of your driveway that connects with the neighbor's driveway, have you considered paving that would widen your driveway to 18 feet altogether? The curb cut would still be 12 feet, but it would be 18 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Sure, so you know that island that was there? That's that dirt island, like in the driveway, when you're looking at your house from the street, off to the left of your property, like a quarter of the way in seems to be this island with a tree stump, right?
Yeah, it used to be a tree there, correct, yes.
Have you thought about just paving that? That would make your driveway 18 feet throughout. The curb cut would be 12 feet, but that's a different problem.
Well, we'll still be in the same situation because we fit 4 cars now. We need parking for the 5th. So we would still need to widen it, yeah, correct. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So in essence, you park over that island already, practically speaking.
We drive over it, yes. We have to. We have to drive over it, yeah.
Was that right, or is there was nothing?
I don't see it. I mean, other towns have that, but it's not in our zoning schedule.
Okay.
Any other board members have any questions?
I just have one more. Just so I'm 100% clear, what are you looking to, at least the chart I'm looking at, The extension is 6 feet wide, 31 in length?
Yes.
Okay, you need to add one car though, correct?
Minimum, yes. Minimum, yes. One car.
Because I'm wondering, do you need 31 feet?
We do.
So you're not adding, so you're not building for one car, you're building for multiple cars?
Because what's gonna happen is, well, I'm gonna put my pickup is long, so I'm gonna put my pickup where the expansion is gonna be at. And then the other cars will fit comfortably on the other side where I park.
How long is your pickup?
It's pretty big. It's a Silverado. It's a full-size pickup. It's over 210 inches, so over that.
So you couldn't build less away from, closer to the street? You need all 31 feet?
Yes.
So I'd like to add, if we didn't have the issue of impervious coverage, this driveway would be perfectly aligned with code and access design.
Do you have the area of the existing driveway now from the house to the right of way?
It's not a full. Area is 520. Right. Okay.
What percentage is that of the lot?
I don't have a calculator on right now. Let me check. 520 over 36.
I think.
Reason for the question is just piggybacking on what you, Mr. Hochstein, had started the conversation on. If the existing driveway and the new driveway were impervious pavers or something, they would be a 50% credit on lot coverage. Lot coverage would actually go down.
That's if they did the whole driveway.
That's right.
So it's something you'd be willing to do, repave the driveway with pervious pavement?
To be honest, I'm open to whatever you guys need me to do. We just need the parking. Like I said, we're trying to avoid problems and stuff like that. We're getting parking tickets overnight.
I think that's a great solution. Do we have that calculation?
It's 13% for the existing coverage.
So if that was pervious, it would count as 6.5% or 6.5% less than the 42.27. So they'd be at 35 and change. With the addition, though, they would still be over the 36%, but certainly not at the 45%.
That's with doing the entirety?
Yeah, the 13% or the 6.5% credit would be if they took the existing driveway.
Got it.
So that would get them under the 36% threshold, but any addition, even at 50%, is
Going to put them over.
put them over. Not as severe. But
And what about the, I'm going to call it the island, if that was covered with impervious as well? It's just, with all due respect to the island, you have a nice property, it's just that's something that can, if that was made a complete driveway with impervious, would you be okay with that?
I don't understand what that means.
He wants to cover up the islands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
imagine
well,
your island was part of the driveway as well.
Once we get the permission to do the addition, we're gonna redo the whole driveway. So
So, yeah, so.
The island is the island part of
I
the,
don't think the island is going to get them additional parking, because once you get past the island, they get their two vehicles.
It would only,
you're correct. It will not because we're already parking over it.
Past it or on top of it?
On top of it,
So I think they.
both.
right, so.
Are you parking on top of it now?
I'm currently parking my pickup there, and then another car goes over that too.
No, it's fine. I think there's a lot of confusion. So your intention is to utilize the island as parking for your parking area.
We are already using it. Mm-hmm. We're trying to expand towards the other lot. You're referring to this lot on the left.
Do your calculations take into consideration the island?
They do not. They left the island alone, but I can recalculate my calculations to include the island.
That would be great, because what we're hearing from the applicant is that he will be utilizing the island area as well. So if we could recalculate, that would be helpful. I think just also to get some clarity as to
It's
what.
about 6 foot by 10 foot, the island.
Okay.
I think you're talking about the front porch. That's 6 by 10, but the actual tree, it's where the roots are, it's smaller.
It's circular, too.
It's round. It's like an oval.
Yes.
That's what you were talking about, Mr. Disco?
Approximately 6 by 10, yes.
Not corner.
Average.
Right, not square.
Right.
I'm also in agreement with the engineer that is also 6 by 10.
With that, would the numbers still, relatively speaking, pan out better with impervious, complete paving of the current driveway, the island area, and the proposed extension?
Yes.
Thank you.
It would exceed the 36%, but it would be lower than what is the existing lot coverage now. And it would be, I'm going to guess, in the 37 to 38% range, something like that.
Still less than what is that?
Still requiring the variance for these.
Any other questions from the board at this time? Okay, let's open it up to the public. I'm going to start with questions for the witness. If there are questions for the witness with respect to what he testified to, please come up and ask those questions. I will open it up for public comment. But if there are any questions, and I'm sorry, if you could just take that down for a second, because I can't see anyone. If you could just move that aside, that would be great. Okay, so do we have any members of the public who have questions for the witness? Question, please come up.
A lot of this went back and forth, pervious, not pervious, so just to make, I'm sure and clear what's going on.
Just please,
Oh,
for
I'm
the
sorry.
record, to state your name, spell your last,
Okay, Gwendolyn Waiters Scott,
and your address.
79 Mink Street,
Thank you.
Springfield. I heard the witness said he's now going to take that pickup truck and put it towards the extension. That's my living space. You're talking about a big pickup truck. My living space is a front porch with a window and my living room. That means I'm going to now have that truck.
Okay, sorry. Is that a question?
Yes, is that a question?
That's what his
Right.
intention is?
Exactly. Is that what your intention is now, to pull that pickup truck next to the extension that's going to be closer to my living space?
Yes.
Okay, that's a problem.
Okay. Do you have any other questions to be answered?
That right there is enough for me as a problem, yeah.
Okay. Let me just ask, are there any other questions for the witness? Okay, so ma'am, you can stay up here because we're going to open it up now, comments. So we're going to swear you in for comments, and then,
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Once again, please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
Gwendolyn Wader Scott, SCOTT, 79 Meek Street.
Thank you.
Okay. There's already 4 cars there. It's honestly, not only does it look like a parking lot, but now, like I said, I have a granddaughter that I am watching, and I also have a daughter that has asthma. That part of the house that he wants to extend is my basic living space for windows. It's a front porch, it's a living room. So right now, my daughter and they sit on that front porch now all the time because that's how we get her to sleep. And to have a pickup truck that close to my living space with emissions and gas and this is starting up the car and I'm trying to put her to sleep, anything, I think is ridiculous. I mean, you bought a house with 1-car garage and that much living space. You had to know you needed some place to park your cars. And so I now have to suffer with all those cars next to my living space because you decided, the thought process should have happened then when you bought the house. I don't think it's fair to me. And the pictures he took around the neighborhood about people parking on the grass, who's to say that was permanent conditions? Those could have been visitors that's overnight doing that one time. That doesn't have to be permanent people parking on the grass. I've been at Springfield since 1982, and I have never had an issue with parking in that area. Actually, I never had a problem with any neighbor until this issue occurred and people piling up cars on top of each other. So that is my issue. Do I agree with his variance? No. because it's going to be an issue for me on my living space. So.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tate Scott. That's my wife, Gwen. You want me to swear and go?
Please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Again, please state your name, spell your last name, give us your address.
Tato, T-A-T-O, is my first name, Scott, S-C-O-T-T, 79 Meck Street, Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Okay, my wife and I have been here in Springfield for over 30, 35 years, and we pay our taxes. I've never had a problem with a neighbor, not one problem, okay? Now, I'm making, I guess most of this is comments, okay? I've been in that house. I've been in 75 many of times. I know every neighbor. I could tell you their names and how many kids they had and what their business was, what they did. The last person, I'm an honest person. I'm not here to try to condemn this young man here, but he's a liar because I've been in that garage. The lady that had that, Marie, I forget Marie's last name, she had a Range Rover, and she would park that Range Rover in that garage. For him to stand here and say, oh, he has no room now, because I'll tell you what he did, because I seen it, and I witnessed for myself. Okay, what he did was when he moved in there, he played these games like, you know, like there's only so many people that's going to come and live into this household, okay? That garage was a full garage. I walked in the midst of that garage. I've had conversations with you. You telling me that little brown car he has can't fit in there? That's a lie. This kid is lying. What he did was, and I witnessed it for my own eyes, was I didn't think this was going to come to this point. I couldn't foresee where I'm standing here now. What he did was he opened up the back. He took the back of the garage, and he cut it in half, okay? And he extended, and I can tell you, I could walk through that house, and I can tell you every room in that house. So when you first walked into there was a living space. I never took the measurements, so I can't give you all measurements, but it was a very small walking area where there was a little small living space, and then there was a bathroom. And then in the back, if you go into the back, okay, in the back is where they had their heating system in the laundry room. Okay, I've been back there because the neighbors have called me to help them with things, because I could do a little plumbing and all this kind of stuff like that. So I know the outlet, but I couldn't give you every measurement as we're here, because I didn't think we were going to get to this point. Okay, what he did was he took part of that garage, he opened it up to make living space for his family. And if you will look very carefully, you will find that there are people that live in this house that really, in my opinion, shouldn't even be there. Okay? This is a one-family zone area. He has multiple people living in there. He's a young man. He don't have that many children of that age that drive cars like that. His child, if I'm correct, if that's his daughter, she's in elementary school. Why do you have all these cars? Where did they come from? I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you right now. He's got multiple people living in the house, okay, and he's trying to use it as like a multiple dwelling. And my understanding is some of his background is in real estate. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to cover things. He's lying. I'm telling you, I've been in there, and if you do, now, I'm not an architect, but I do know something. And when they build these houses, they measured these driveways, and I heard what this gentleman said, okay? I have an engineering background myself. Now, I know for a fact that when they build these houses, if you got a garage, they make it for a specific length for you to drive your cars into. He had the car he's talking about is a small Corolla or something. You telling me that car can't fit in there? The reason why the car cannot fit in there is because he added an extra room on the back. He cut the garage off so he can have living space around the back. And if anybody want to walk with me through there, I can guarantee, because I seen it, but I didn't know that's what, I didn't, hindsight, it's 2020. Now I'm looking at the whole picture now and I'm going like, oh, this is what he's doing. The kid is a liar, okay? So I object to this whole thing, what he's talking about with this whole car issue. And why do you have so many cars? Anyway, And just like my wife just said, you bought the house. Didn't you know how many cars you had? He had to have known that. Okay? Now look, I was born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey, so I know the things that people play, and my wife and I also own several properties. So I know things that people do, and I'm not going to call him by his, or I'm not going to get into a racial issue, but I will say this. What he's doing is something I've seen before. All these families coming in here, and it's not just a family. It's cousins, brothers, uncles, and grandmothers and sisters, if you follow what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm not trying to diminish him, but at the same time, now you're trying to make my living space uncomfortable because you decided to move into this house with one garage, and now you got 4 or 5 cars? And now we have to suffer behind that versus emissions, safety, comfort, the smell of this stuff, and noise. He talks about, he was back in the last time when I was here, he talked about, we back our car in, he's a liar. I sit there and I'm retired, so I see everything. I sit there and I see it. He does not back all this car. Every now he just started doing it is what he did. Since we want to take it to this level, he would pull the cars in. And one of my issues I had was you pull your car in, okay, your headlights, it's going to come into my living room. You got 4 or 5, maybe 6 cars if you ask me, because I'm pretty sure the way he's talking about extending it might be another car coming. It's not a parking lot. I like Springfield. I love Springfield. I never had a problem. Never had one problem with the police department in Springfield or any neighbors whatsoever. I'm a pastor, okay? And I try to keep the peace, but this guy comes out and he says things. He cursed me out one day. He called me MFs and everything like that. And this is a whole nother issue because what he did was, there's a can of worms going on here. That's where we are. And part of the can of worms is when he first moved in, and Mr. Herbert will tell you, because I call Mr. Herbert, he put a heating system. I know there's another, but this will give you an idea of what I'm dealing with. He put a heating system next to his house, and he took the heating system, as I mentioned earlier, he took the heating system out of the back of the house, he put it outside, okay? And then in his air conditioning system, he put a slab of pavement there, and then he takes this heating system and he puts this heating system in the heating system. Exhaust system is facing my house. And so what happened was then, this is why a lot of this is coming to a head. And what happened was where my extension to my house is, my bathroom and my master bedroom, the heating system that he installed there, if I sit on my toilet, okay, I'm a realist, I'm going to tell you. I sit on my toilet and I can feel the vibrations from what he did. He put this heating system in, and I'm sitting on my toilet, middle of the night, and my walls are shaking. Okay? And then when I lay there, I can hear all this noise. So I called Mr. Herbert. I said, Mr. Herbert, I can't do this. I can't deal with this. And then Mr. Herbert tells me, he says, I had a conversation with this kid about this. So now he's got an attitude with me because I called the zoning department because I know that's not right. That's not right for me to have to live like that. I can't sit on my toilet without my toilet vibrating because you put a heating system that's pointing towards my house. And my understanding, according to zone, I don't know what all, I know some of the zones are different in different areas. According to that, what I'm seeing is he doesn't care. He doesn't care about his neighbors. He don't care about us. He cares about himself. And then when I brought the system up, he comes out, he curses me out. He calls me every name in the book. Because I called the zoning department. Now he's got an issue with me about every little thing. So now there's a neighbor issue, there's an issue going back and forth with this kid right now. He's very disrespectful, and I don't want to get into a physical confrontation. He's just a young man. And I work all my life. We don't deserve this. My wife and I don't deserve this. We're both professionals. We don't deserve this. The kind of stuff, like I said, I never had a problem with one member in my community. Not one. And you can go up and down the street and ask him. So, and here we are talking about he wants to extend his cars to make everybody, for his comfort. Like Springfield now has to submit to him. and do and get us. Because if I know he needed some kind of legal advice, I would have brought a lawyer. I don't have a problem with that. But I didn't know it was going to get to this level. So my wife and I, we just, my wife just turned 65 years old. We're trying to, relax and chill out. We're like Springfield. All my kids came through the Springfield system, and they're all successful kids. It's a school, good city, a good town, and everything. Like I said, never had a problem. Till here he comes, and here we are. So to surmise this, I know there's an issue here, and I don't want to have to keep calling the cops on this kid for stuff. But he's got too many people in that house. If you follow what I'm saying, I'm not going to, I want to go into a little more detail, but there's more people living in that house that should be in that house. That's a one-family zone. If I want to live in a 2-family, if I want to have 3 family, because if I guess, off the top of my head, I know I sound a little, angry or whatever, because I'm seeing maybe 2 or 3 families. That's why he wants all the parking. No wonder he can't park. You got one garage. And he's trying to do this? You doing the measurements? I hear you talking about the measurements. The reason is because he's trying to put all these cars in there, and then he's got this big old truck. So, what am I saying? I think he's trying to pull the wool over my eyes, my wife, Springfield, the zoning. I try to abide by law. Okay? If you look up my name, you're not going to see anything because I try to abide by the law. He wants to change the laws. And if I need a lawyer, and let me just say this, if I need legal consultation, my wife and I, we don't have a problem. If I need a lawyer to stand here and talk to you about these issues, that's fine. I never thought it was going to come to this. But I know I said a lot. But I know I'm spewing, but that's what I'm dealing with now. And I'm 64 years old. And now here he comes and try to wreck my life and my comfort. My expression to that is hell no. That's not right. I pay my taxes. He just moved in there a year and a half or something. He want to change the neighborhood. Springfield by my laws. That's where he's coming from. He's sneaky and he is a liar.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Any other members of the public that wish to speak, please come forward.
My name is Eileen Acevedo. I live at 73 Meeks. Oops, sorry.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please repeat your name again. Spell the last name, home address.
Eileen Acevedo, Acevedo, 73 Meeks.
Thank you.
So I'm neutral in this, obviously. I know this is going to bring me issues now, but I'm here to do the right thing. As far as the driveway, I'm the neighbor that should be complaining about it because I know that the town was called because of him parking in between the houses. I authorize that because it's my property too on that side. As far as the neighborhood, yes, there are cars on Ruby and Divin that park on the grass. And it's not just something that's been done now. It's been done, I've been there, I believe it's gonna be 10 years. I've been at 73 Weeks. When I moved there, and this might be going too far, but I came from Elizabeth. I moved to Springfield to bring my daughter into a better school district and a better town. I love my neighbors. Unfortunately, some of them have passed away because they were elderly, but I do talk to all the neighbors. As my daughter started getting older, I bought those little signs and put signs that said, slow down, because we have people that speed down our street all the time. I've had the cops called on me 3 times already about it when she was younger. And I know it wasn't from the neighbors right next door to me or right across the street from me because I spoke to them all and got permission to put signs because of the neighborhood kids, coming to my house and playing. I've also had the cops called on me for my dogs barking one time that I was going through a domestic violence issue and I was not staying there. I was just going to feed the dogs. And I came to court and spoke to the judge about it. Now, I don't have concrete evidence on who it was, but neighbors talk and you hear, oh, this one's complaining, and I have my suspicions on who called them. As a matter of fact, I don't remember clearly if it was I think it was Mr. Scott. When I first moved in there, the house next door to me, yes, there was tenants there, Marie, as he mentioned. I had also been in their house. From the time that I got there, I never saw them park their car in the driveway. I'm sorry. Please do not call me a liar because I'm...
called out my name and you're a liar.
Do not...
Please, can we exercise some decorum here, please? Sir, sir.
The recording can only pick up one voice at a time.
I understand that, but don't call my name out and be lying on me.
Okay, Madam Chairman, I'm a very professional person. I'm going to be 49 years old. I've worked with attorneys for over 20 years. I'm in an accounting firm now. I do not appreciate somebody calling me a liar as a grown-up. Now, going forward, I had been in Marie's house. In the time that I moved into there, because I had my house built from the ground up, we came and we got variances and everything. I had never seen one car parked in that garage, not once. After they moved out, the house was vacant for a while. Then we had another family come in that rented it from the bank, never parked their car in the garage. Okay? Again, I've never had problems with any of the neighbors. All the neighbors would call each other to check on me if they hadn't seen me, at the house. As far as this family, yes, they've only been there about a year and a half, 2 years. In the year and a half, 2 years that I have known them, they have been there for me, checking on me through a crisis that I have been going through with my daughter, who's 13 years old, who's been hospitalized twice. Without even knowing me. He would come, do my driveway when it was snowing, because I'm a single mom. They've taken food to the hospital while my daughter was in the hospital and I didn't leave the hospital. Okay? So I don't see them as a troublemaker. Yes, the feud has been going on, but he's no saint because I've heard him talk to me about other people. So I just want to point out that the fact that the town was called about them parking the car next to my house, I'm the neighbor that should be complaining about it because it's right next to my house. Also, as far as their driveway, yes, they can fit the 4 cars in their driveway, but they are right on top of my driveway. So I only have 1 car because that's all I can afford. But if I had more cars, I wouldn't be able to open up my car door because in order for them to park the 4 cars there, they're right there. Do I complain? No. Because having a good neighbor to me is more important than nonsense. Because you never know when you're going to need a neighbor. And I've experienced that because his wife and him have been there for me. And they do not have 3 families living there. So, also one more thing. Before they bought the house, the bank renovated the whole house. Okay? So there wasn't just, even before the bank renovated the house, yes, there was a big living space when you walk in, but he forgot to mention, yes, there was a bathroom and there was a small room that had the boiler and a washer. He didn't mention the other large room that was behind the garage already. So I just wanted to thank you for listening to what I had to say. Again, I'm an outsider looking in, but I do want to come and say both sides of the story because, like I said, it's better to have good neighbors that, God forbid, something happens and you need assistance, just like I did with the crisis with my daughter twice, and my neighbor was there for me. So that's all I'd like to say. Thank you for hearing me out. Do you have any questions for me, ma'am?
Thank you.
Madam Chair, not to throw some monkey wrenches into this, not knowing what the dimension of the garage was prior to 5:30 tonight, it was presumed to be a usable garage. The ordinance, we do have an ordinance that requires in the S60 zone, which this is, they have to have one garage space. All other zones require 2 cars in a garage space. So if there was one garage space there, which became less than 1, that's a problem. It's an if, though. I don't know what the condition of that garage was. Mr. Hoxton could probably tell you nobody would build a garage 13 feet deep. It was a usable garage. I did also consult the shared drive with the building department, and since 2011, I saw 3 permits taken out. First 2, and I think it was, the last name was Northington, if that makes sense to anybody who lives?
Yes, yes.
For an electrical, is that correct, Mr. Sen?
Yeah, she, Miss North, I presume it's Miss Northington. She owned the property from 2001 until 2010,
Okay, so
according to the tax records.
yeah, there was permits taken out for an electrical service and one other large development issue. And then when the bank took over, there was also an electrical thing in, I'm going to think 2019 or something like that. So I have no permits in the last 11, 12 years that were taken out if a garage was reduced in space. That's all I can offer on that. I have no idea what the condition was 20 years ago or the like.
Thank you.
I just have a question. The garage is, we've all called it non-usable. Does that count as a garage space? 'Cause I don't think any part of the application is to remove a garage.
No, and again, prior to the measurement of the garage, it wouldn't have been an issue. I'm just pointing out that a single family in the S60 zone must provide 1 parking space in a garage. So now you cannot get a car in the garage. If the garage was changed, potential variance request, I'm just not trying to muddy the waters, but I'm just trying to present some facts.
Can I add, the building coverage is already at 24% to 25%. Anything over 25% would also cause for a variance. So if we were to add more to the garage in the future, that would also require a variance.
I think the change would be internal to that.
Correct.
Not external.
Okay.
I have a question for the applicant.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the picture of your garage, and it looks like there's a new vent of some kind going across the garage. What is that?
Because that's the new vent, because the old one was damaged. It was like falling apart and stuff, so.
Is the vent for a furnace?
No, for the dryer. It's an electric dryer, no gas, nothing. You just
There's a laundry room behind that wall there?
No, that's the bedroom.
And then there was some testimony by your neighbor that there was some heating and air conditioning changes done to the house?
No, sir.
Did you do any heating and air conditioning changes?
No, sir, because when we bought the house, I'm not sure, there was an open permit for the generator that was making too much noise, which the neighbor complained about. So when we purchased the house, we didn't know we needed a permit to move it. So when we moved it, it started making even more noise. So that's when one of the inspectors came and said, you can't move it, like you have to put it back where it was. And they informed us that we had to get a permit for that, which we did. And the generator that we had for the central AC was unrepairable, so we ended up buying just a new one. Mm-hmm.
And I assume that's the electrical permit that you're talking about? Because I believe you need a permit to put a generator in, correct?
Yes, sir. You're correct.
The permit that I'm going to call it a bank, it was 3 initials, it wasn't an obvious single-family resident entity. It was more like an electrical panel type of permit that I saw. I can't say whether it was done for a generator or not. this was, it's routine. What I try to do to be prepared is look at all the data, not knowing that the garage was going to be an issue till recently.
So you said you did get a permit for the generator?
Yes, sir.
It's not, I guess, it's.
Yeah, again, I'm sharing the Google Drive with the building.
Okay.
It's not all-inclusive, but
Okay.
again, I saw 3 from 2011 forward. It's possible that the most current or newest may not have, been shared.
But you're testifying that you did get a permit?
Yeah, we had to. The inspector came and then they put the sticker and then we got the permits and then we moved it back and we couldn't repair it, so we ended up buying a new generator. Exterior generator.
No, that was all I had.
I'd like to hear from the board.
I think we'd be remiss to not start with some of the racist comments that we heard. I think we have to call that out and say that is unacceptable in this room. I've never heard it in this room before, whether in the stands or here at the dais. I think at the outset that has to be condemned by all of us.
Agreed.
I'd like to just comment the fact that if the discussion was that putting in a pervious pavement driveway would actually improve the conditions there, this variance is for impervious coverage. Really, that's the whole variance. And the fact that you're reducing what's there by putting a pervious driveway would influence my decision.
I think it would be an optical upgrade as well, if the pavers are quality pavers. That is a tight lot, according to the tax records, 39 feet wide. So if he has cars, he's going to be parking them. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be with neighbors' cooperation or on the lawn anyway. And if we can solve a lot of problems, notwithstanding that it's not a unanimously popular decision, I think, when on balance, I think it's not a difficult application.
I guess I have, maybe it's a question, I'm sorry I'm asking it this way, but I'm a little confused now because do we have to do a variance for lack of a garage now? Because isn't that the second issue here?
If it was converted, but I can't affirmatively tell you that.
It's not meeting.
I'll defer, though.
Right, but it's not meeting the zoning requirement, if I'm understanding what you're saying.
It depends when it was done and what the zoning was at that time. If it was changed before the current requirement was in the ordinance, then it's a pre-existing non-conforming condition. We don't know.
Do we know when that ordinance was changed?
No.
Off-street parking was last changed 2003.
Not off-street parking, the garage ordinance, the parking in.
That garage is in the off-street parking requirement. It refers to RSIS. RSIS wasn't around prior to the early 2000s, probably. So it would coincide that the references to RSIS came in 2003.
Just for the record, the tax records for this property indicate that the building was built in about 1979.
I also have a technical question. Is there any restriction from having part of the right-of-way being used to park your cars in? Do you have to stay within your own property? Because it's my understanding that the 10 feet on the right-of-way is being used to park the vehicles. I don't know if that's a question or not.
So that off-street parking requirement says, and I have to look further, but first part of it says, unless otherwise permitted by this chapter, off-street parking shall be provided on a lot. So I think that answers where you're heading, in accordance with the following schedule. That schedule for S60 says one in a garage. This table doesn't reference the number of overall parking spaces in the S60 zone. So there's that part of it. So it's hinting that it has to be on the lot. If I go to driveway design, and I just apologize, I have not committed this to memory, so these don't come up that frequently.
Unacceptable.
You don't memorize the whole land use ordinance?
Not happening. They have to be at least 9 foot in width unless it's a 2-car garage. That doesn't apply, and it meets the 9-foot width. Has to be at least 5 foot from a side property line. Other than in the S60, it has to be 2 feet. I think the existing condition there probably in some spot may violate the 2 foot. I don't think that doesn't look like a new driveway or any new paving, so that's been there a while. All driveways shall be at least 20 feet long. It's at least 30 feet long on the property. And that's about what I see in the zoning code. Now, in the general code, if there was a sidewalk there, I'm sure you're not supposed to park across the sidewalk, which is a pedestrian or designated pedestrian route. That's not the case here. There's no sidewalk. So I don't know how to answer fully that. I know where you're heading with that, but as a practical matter, if it's off the street, it's not, I wouldn't think it's a safety issue. Again, if it was across the sidewalk, it might be something that would be enforceable. I can't answer any better at this time without knowing the full general code other than the land use. I mean, the setback is 30. It's complying with the front yard setback. Most houses are probably going to be about the 30 foot. So if you're parking 2 cars deep, you're going to be over the right-of-way, over your own property line. It's more expensive.
Okay, so we're here, right, to determine whether granting the variance satisfies the criteria enough, right, to allow the applicant the relief that they're seeking. And you look at the positive and you look at the negative. So it's an undersized lot, right? So you could have a hardship, but you already are parking 4 cars there, which I think if you were, to look in residential areas, that meets or could exceed what the intent of planning would be for a driveway that with a single-family home that is supposed to have a garage large enough to house 1 car. So I'm not sure that the positive criteria is met. And then you look to the negative criteria. Let's say, okay, we're going to say yes, that the positive criteria met. You are undersized. You don't actually have room for the 4 cars, so you do need a small variance in order to even get the 4 cars in there, because you are actually going onto the neighbor's lot, right? You're parking a little bit onto the neighbor's lot. So let's say you do satisfy the positive criteria, and then the question is whether or not you satisfy the negative criteria, and it's a question of, one, is it servicing the public good in the surrounding area, and 2, is it in line with the intent of the zone plan? And again, I'm having a really hard time. With whether or not the proofs are satisfied because of the fact that you can fit multiple cars in a single-family neighborhood. And I just don't know that you've met the criteria, but those are just my thoughts. And members of the board may have others. So that's why we're here to deliberate.
Sounds like you do land use, by the way. But
Can I add a comment, please? If you guys require us to do pavers, we're willing to do that. If you guys need us to do a dry well, we're willing to comply with what the board wants us to do.
I mean, we got to take into account the curb cut, right? We got to take into account what the variance is for, which is just lot coverage, right? And again, aesthetics counts to some degree, including that island with the tree stump.
May I add something?
You could also argue that there's a certain aesthetic to a suburban neighborhood, and having the front yard appear with a whole bunch of cars is maybe not what we're looking for in our suburban neighborhoods as well.
I don't disagree with you. I don't know if that's a problem we're going to solve, right? If you saw the pictures that are in evidence, there already are cars parking. It's just a matter of whether they're going to be on coverage or whether they're going to be on grass. So
May I add a comment?
Yes.
According to your code, Chapter 35 Land Use, Section 3515.1, Section B, number 9, all driveways should be at least 9 feet in width, except the driveways providing access to 2-car garages shall provide an 18-foot width. So the 18-foot width would be more in line with a 2-car garage, even though there's only a 1-car garage, but the driveway itself would still be a 2-car driveway. The 18.
Right. But this is a 1-car garage zone.
Okay, I think we have to vote. So,
I have a motion.
please.
I'd like to move to approve the application with conditions, and please chime in before I complete the motion. Number one is the curb cut that we talked about last month. That has to be addressed because of the police ordinance. Mr. Bergen, whatever, you remember what we were talking about? That condition that has to be, that we don't even have the power to void or
Road opening. I think that road opening ties into that, correct? Because it was
Right.
paved.
If they're not changing the curb cut, then that shouldn't come into effect, because then they're not, it only happens if you cut into the blacktop of the road.
I hear you.
But certainly, we could put in a condition that if they do disturb the roadway, that they have to comply with the curb-to-curb repaving.
Agreed, okay. Next condition is that it's impervious pavers?
Pervious or impervious?
Pervious, excuse me, thank you very much. Third, it would have to also, and the applicant indicated he intended on doing this anyway, but it would have to also cover what's on that island area in the front of the property with the tree stump. That tree stump would have to be ground down. And proper paver base and everything would have to be set forth on it. I don't know if there's any other conditions that anyone else suggests.
Just to make sure I understand, the entire driveway has to be redone impervious, or just the addition?
The entire driveway. So the footprint of the current driveway will stay with the proposed extension and that island area. All that will be pervious. I don't know if there's any other suggestions before I close the motion.
I have none.
All right.
Okay, we have a motion.
Need a second.
Do we have a second? Motion fails. We're closed. We deliberated and we're voting.
Oh, I was just gonna offer, I didn't have an issue with him parking his truck on my side, if that was gonna help you guys out.
Thank you. Okay, so
We don't have a second, we don't have a vote.
it's just,
You need a motion to deny?
okay, so a motion to deny the application is now on the table. I make a motion to deny the application.
I'll second.
Chair Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Hochstein,
Yes.
Mr. Sada,
No.
Mr. Weckstein.
Yes.
3 yeses to deny. The motion passes,
Okay.
which is a denial.
Thank you for the time.
Okay, the next application this evening is application 2022-7, 46 Edgewood Avenue, block 3511, lot 9. Are the applicants here? Please come up. Good evening.
Good evening. Ana Luis Elizondo.
Okay, who are the applicants? You two are the applicants?
This
Good
is
evening.
my wife Jennifer. And
Okay.
I'm Luis.
And your architect. Okay, great. So let's, we'll have you come up and be sworn in each individually.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, give us your home address.
Luis Elizondo, Elizondo, 46 Edgewood Avenue, Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, give your address if it's different.
Jennifer Bolanos, Bolanos, 46 Edgewood Avenue, Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do we want to bring that up like that? Okay, great.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, give us your office address.
Andrea Carminio, I'm the architect, 515 Coleman Place, Westfield, New Jersey, CARMINIO.
Thank you.
And I've been heard by this board before.
Yes, let's just run through some of the credentials, your education and your background.
I have been a registered architect for almost 30 years, 25 in New Jersey, in business for 25 in New Jersey. I hold a Bachelor of Architecture from New York Institute of Technology.
Your license in the state of New Jersey, your license is current?
Yes.
And you have appeared before this board before?
Yes.
And others in New Jersey?
Many.
Okay. Any members of the board have any objections to qualifying her as an expert in architecture? Great. So,
Okay, so I would like to pass around an exhibit. You also have a site plan.
Was this exhibit submitted previously? Okay, then we'll mark this as A1.
Okay, I guess I'll do the talking. We are here for a variance because air conditioning condenser units were placed on the side yard, and the existing property is 47% smaller than what's required in an R60. We previously came before the board to get a variance for a side yard issue. And a lot coverage issue. When the units were placed, one was placed within the existing side yard. When we did the addition, we stepped the addition in 2 feet to comply with the side yard. So one, as you can see in the photos, if you're looking at the first photo, the closest one is the one that is mostly in the side yard, and there's one behind that's tucked into the 2-foot jog we made when we did the addition. We are requesting a variance to move the condenser unit that's deeper into the side yard, as you could see in number 2 in the photograph, on the side of the other one that's in the jog. These units are 2 feet by 2 feet. They're very small. One of them, the bigger one, is the one that's being moved. It is 2 feet, 2 inches high. They're very small. We don't have the side yard. The property width is supposed to be 60 feet for this zone district. We have 40. We really do not have another place to place these units. So that's why we're requesting leaving one where it is, behind the jog, and the other one on the other side of it, on the other side of the window. So you see the pictures here where we're moving it. That's a view from the side, and then a picture from the back looking forward where you see the one that's closest to the house. And we are requesting to place the other one on the opposite side of the window. We don't think this is something that is going to be a substantial detriment to the neighbors. I don't think anybody is here representing any of the neighbors. It's set back from the front of the house, the front facade of the house. It's my clients would be happy to put a buffer in if that makes the board happier with the request.
All right. It appears to me this is an overall improvement to move it back to the rear side. But any questions from members of the board?
I just have one question. You say on your site plan it says existing 2x2 square AC can be relocated. Was that where it was, or was that where you did it as part of the addition and it was improperly placed? So now
They were, okay, so the first two are the ones where they were placed when the work was done. And then I'm requesting to move the first one behind the second one.
So you're actually improving to what's there now?
Yes.
And moving it?
Yes.
I don't see a problem with it personally.
And you wouldn't be blocking the window, it would be in the opposite side of
no,
it.
no, we
So it would be one on each side of the window.
Yes. Mhm.
So it looks like something in the back blocks the other window. I don't know what that is.
There's something in the back. We have an egress.
So just a window well, just so they can build the dirt up a little.
Oh, in the back of the
back,
house?
yeah.
Yeah, well. Mhm.
Any other questions? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Any members of the public have any questions for the witness? Any members of the public care to comment on the application? None. Okay.
Sorry to step on your toes. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sadar?
Yes.
Chair Cohen?
Yes. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Okay. The next application on the agenda is application 2022-8, 27 Skylark Road, block 6202, lot 32. Full variance relief to install a chain link fence. Good evening.
Evening.
Both the applicants? Correct. Okay, we're going to swear you in. Yes, first.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, give us your home address.
Catherine O'Connell. I'm going to spell the first name too, Kathryn. O'Connell is O''Connell. Address is 27 Skylark Road, Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name, spell your last name, give your home address if it's different.
Stephen McSherry. I'll also spell my first name Stephen, last name McSaggerry. Same address, 27 Skylark.
Thank you.
Okay, tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do.
What we like to do?
Yes.
Oh, what we would like.
What we would.
I thought you were asking about our hobbies. So we are applying for a variance to install a chain link fence around 3/4 of our backyard. We're going to install, hopefully, PVC with lattice top and 2 gates in the front portion of the property. That would be 59 feet in the front from the edge of the house in the back. We would like to install chain link fence around the back, would be 71 feet each way, and then in the back is 100 feet. There would be a gate to go into the back. Our primary reason for seeking out chain link fence instead of the other more visually appealing options is pricing. And we are also abutting Route 78. That's our backyard, so there's about a 1/4 acre, which is fully wooded and goes up against the retaining wall to Route 78. So from that angle, nobody's going to see the chain link. It's pretty wooded. We'd like to keep it wooded, and we think this will be the best way to maintain that wooded appearance instead of sectioning it off. Along the sides, and I do have a number of exhibits if you'd like to see pictures of what this will.
We'd love to.
Okay. Can I approach?
Please.
Okay. I've labeled all of them with the application number A through V, I believe. It's the front of our house, and then throughout the pictures you'll see the different vantage points from all of the 200-foot list. And then at the end is a picture of a coyote that was in our yard this past weekend, which is another reason that we are hoping to get a fence installed. The chain link.
If I might,
Sure.
just so the record's clear, these pictures are marked with the application number, and they are A through V. I don't know how many that is. Is that 20? No.
I think it's
In any
23.
case,
23?
I'll pass them to the board.
What is it? Who's counting?
Okay, good.
So we also chose chain link because we have a dog, are hoping to have children, and between our house and 31 Skylark, there's a bit of a gradation between our property lines. So we've been advised by multiple contractors that the safest way to avoid having a dog climb under, especially a lab like ours, would be to have the galvanized posts on the chain link, which would be apparently a better fit for that section of our yard. We did inquire about aluminum and PVC as well, and were advised that the PVC option would leave a substantial gap on the inclined part of our property. We are also, just for the sake of our neighbors, we're going to be installing the fence hopefully inside of our property line and not on the property line. That way we would not require any neighbors to perform any work or separate the lines. What else? We'll see in the pictures that it's virtually undetectable where the chain link will be from either vantage point from coming or going on Skylark Road. So only one neighbor, I think, will be able to really get a view of that, and that was the neighbor from 31 Skylark who was here earlier and left us with his good graces. So
Good to have good neighbors.
it is. We've learned that much tonight.
Madam Chair and the board, the only relief here is that in residential zones, chain link fence.
Thank you.
What is the finish on the fence? Is it going to be black? Is it going to be?
Black fence with galvanized posts.
And the contractors told you what on the the vinyl or PVC fence? What?
So, yeah, so PVC with the flat line on the incline where that part of our property would lie would leave a gap as it kind of scales the incline.
Okay.
They said there was.
Which would allow the wildlife that you're trying to avoid.
Right.
And your dog.
And the dog, and future children. And also, just for reference, we first inquired about this process about a year ago. I think it was June last year. We got quoted from June last year to March this year. The prices went up just about double of that. So we did inquire as to different materials, but just given the lack of visibility and the protection that we think the chain link would offer, that's what prompted us to make this decision.
Okay. Any questions?
I just want to say that in your situation, typically a chain link fence is not appropriate in a residential area, but the fact that you're up against a wooded area and it's black, I actually think it's going to be better to have a chain link fence that's almost invisible than to have a big white PVC.
Yeah, we agree. We like the.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
What about, what do you think about wrought iron instead of PVC?
I didn't think about it because that's not what they're planning for.
How much would wrought iron cost?
We did not get a quote for wrought iron, but aluminum is about $5,000 more than the chain link, or at least it was last year. PVC is about $5,000 more now, and that's, I believe, cheaper than the aluminum, which is cheaper than wrought iron. Ideally, that would look great, but.
Thank you.
Okay.
I guess I just have a question. The ordinance doesn't allow it because of cosmetic reasons? Is that what the?
I'm sure when it was introduced that in residential zones, it was an aesthetic, yes. This is the rear yard, it's not the front yard. It's
I
black,
just didn't know
it's
if there was a
not.
different reason.
And there's no neighbors.
Yeah,
in
no,
the back.
I just didn't know what the reason was.
Okay. Any members of the public? I think for the reasons that we put on the record already, I would be in favor of granting the request for the chain link in the back. Is there a motion?
Do we have to put any requirement that be black as part of it?
Yeah, we can condition that so that it would appear almost invisible in the back, visually black, that it would be black. Mm-hmm. So on the condition that it is a black chain link fence, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sada? Yes. Chair Cohen?
Yes. Okay, granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just before we adjourn, just for the record, the pending application 2021-29 was not listed for tonight's meeting. That's Chick-fil-A. It is scheduled to continue on June 21st. Our next meeting, there'll be no further public notice as it was announced at the last meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
So moved.